What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, May 14th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 14:23 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Poland and also here in the United States, as well as in Georgia, the Republic of Georgia, and also coming from Ukraine. So, before I get into the situation in Poland, I want to just share with you some very concerning information that just came out this afternoon from the NOAA Space Weather Center. So there was just an X 8.7 solar flare that erupted from that massive sunspot that caused the global auroras on Friday night. Guys, an X 8.7 is basically like off the charts, okay? That's like the strongest solar flare possible. I think the Carrington event was like a X10 or something like that. So this is Carrington event levels, okay? X 8.7. Now, by the grace of God, this sunspot was not facing us this afternoon when this X 8.7 erupted, because if it did, we would have a Carrington event tonight and the next couple of days, okay? As you can see here in the picture, the sunspot has already rotated away from facing us, okay? So most of this flare is not going to hit us, but still, it's very significant because of how strong it is. And it just shows you how active the sun is right now. We are in the middle of the solar maximum. Okay, the sun has 10-year cycles where activity picks up and you get a lot of really strong flares, geomagnetic storms, and then it drops down into a minimum, and then another cycle starts, and then it ramps up to a maximum, and the cycles are like 10 years in length on average, anywhere between 8 to 12 years. So we're in the maximum right now. Okay, this cycle started a couple of years ago in 2019, and we're in the maximum phase right now. But the fact that we had an X 8.7 means that the sun still has a lot of punch. And I'm very concerned in the coming weeks that we could see more geomagnetic storms of extreme level, potentially even stronger than the one we had Friday night. Now, Friday night, we had global auroras. They were seen all the way down to the tropics. But thank God that we didn't have any major power interruptions or any major issues with communications. But if we have an X 8.7 next week or the week after, that would cause power failures. Okay. So we have to be on high alert. You may want to think about purchasing some EMP bags or getting yourself some emergency space blankets and lining some garbage bins or even just storage totes with the Mylar emergency blankets. Just take some contact cement and just glue that Mylar to the inside or the outside of this storage bin or garbage can, and you can put all your sensitive electronics in there so they don't get fried. Okay. I keep my ham radios, my radiation dosimeters, and my satellite phones in EMP bags for this reason, okay? So we also had two smaller X-class flares erupt today as well, so a total of three flares, an X 8.7, an X 1.7, and an X 1.3, okay? So the sun is still packing a lot of punch, and I'm very concerned that we could see another major geomagnetic storm even stronger than the one we had Friday night. And by the way, that solar storm Friday night could potentially be a harbinger of something bad about to happen. This update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to use the link preparewithnyprepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. But this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life. It includes over 2,000 calories per day, breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks, all contained within 6 rugged water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $200 off or 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply. The link is in the description below this video. Free shipping is included. They also have a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running various discounts. And to get to their general store, you just got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com at the top of the page, and you'll see their general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running discounts here. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video. We know that in 1938, just a few months before World War II broke out, there was this massive solar storm, and the entire world saw auroras. And we also know that Catholic prophecy talks about lights in the sky before war and famine and pestilence occurs due to the judgment of God. And this is coming from the Fatima prophecy in 1917. 3 kids in Portugal saw the Virgin Mary, and the Virgin Mary warned those kids that if humanity didn't repent and pray, that there would be war and famine, and Russia would become very powerful and spread its evils around the world, and that shortly before the judgment of God, there would be these unknown lights in the skies, okay? So are these lights that we saw Friday night potentially those lights? I don't know, guys, but the same thing happened in 1938, right before World War II broke out, okay? We have the situation in the Middle East about to spiral out of control. Okay, Israel's about to go into Rafah. They've already passed in the Israeli War Cabinet an expansion of the operation in Rafah. So this is not going to be a limited operation in Rafah. This is going to be a full-scale operation into Rafah. Egypt has already threatened to move military forces into the Sinai Peninsula if Israel goes into Rafah. And today they threaten to cut diplomatic ties with Israel if they go into Rafah. We have the situation in Ukraine. We have the situation in Eastern Europe, which I'm about to talk about. Okay, it looks like Belarus is on the verge of attacking Poland. We have some inside information about that. Want to just show you guys some interesting flight paths from here close to the United States and in the United States. So earlier this afternoon, we had an E-3 Sentry AWACS plane flying near Cuba, which is very unusual. It had its transponder turned off. And also earlier this afternoon, we actually still have several aerial refuelers operating off the coast of North Carolina near Cape Hatteras, like half a dozen aerial refuelers there. Now, in addition to that, we had this reconnaissance plane flying off the coast of Sarasota, Florida, deep in the Gulf of Mexico. All of this happening at the same time as the E-3 is airborne near Cuba. Now, I want to show you guys some flight paths from Poland last night and earlier this morning that have me very, very concerned that something big is about to happen in Poland and also the Baltics, but it appears that Poland may be the target. So first of all, apparently the Belarusian opposition is warning that the Lukashenko regime in Belarus is preparing a large-scale operation against Poland. for which not only Oman forces are preparing, but also former Wagnerians who train them. The attack is expected to take place in the coming days. Among them may also be Chechens who pretend to be migrants and are trained spies, warns Alexander Azrau, a former officer of the Belarusian secret services, currently an oppositionist responsible for security matters, in an interview with Forsel PL. So we have a former Belarusian spy working for the opposition in Belarus telling a Polish media outlet today that the Lukashenko government is preparing a large-scale operation against Poland. And in this operation, you're going to have Oman forces. Oman forces are like the elite guard of Russia. You're going to have former Wagnerites. Okay, these are people that were in the Wagner group before it collapsed, and also Chechens. Okay, now in addition to this, we had a massive amount of reconnaissance activity over Poland and fighter jet activity and aerial refuelers. So what you're looking at here are 5 aerial refuelers over central Poland at the same time, and also a British Eurofighter Typhoon. Okay, there were 2 Typhoons airborne last night over Poland. That's the British fighter jet. That's their main fighter jet. It's similar to like an F-16. So 2 of them airborne over Poland last night. One of them was looping for hours over northeastern Poland. You can see here in the Lakes district of Poland, it was looping for a while. And 5 aerial refuelers over Poland, guys. These are NATO aerial refuelers. You could see U.S. Air Force. Most of them were U.S. Air Force, okay? Except one of them was from Britain, but this is extremely unusual. I've never seen this many aerial refuelers over Poland in one night. And here's another screenshot showing one of the Eurofighter Typhoons flying over Poland with multiple aerial refuelers, including one just to the north of Warsaw. There was also this Polish reconnaissance plane that flew along the border of Poland and Belarus here as well. And then we also had an Italian reconnaissance plane patrolling the border of Kaliningrad and Belarus with Poland. And then there was also a Swedish reconnaissance plane with the red flight path here patrolling the border of Russia and Poland. So this is extremely concerning, guys. Okay, something is brewing over here. Here's another shot of all of these reconnaissance planes and aerial refuelers. And then what's interesting too, in this picture here, you can actually see a U.S. Air Force VIP plane flew from Ramstein to Poznań in Poland. And right outside of Poznań is where you have the most important NATO air base in Poland, which is Powice. Powice is where they had F-22s stationed there last year. American F-22s, 6 of them were moved to Powice. There was also up to 2 B-2 stealth bombers moved there at one point last year. So very interesting. And then also we had this Polish border guard plane patrolling the Polish Baltic Sea here and the border of Russia and Poland. Okay. And then also we had an Estonian border guard plane patrolling the Estonian airspace here. We also had this Russian military cargo plane leaving Kaliningrad and going back to Russia. And over the last 2 weeks, there's been probably a dozen Russian military cargo planes going to Kaliningrad. So they're moving a lot of equipment into Kaliningrad and ammunition and stuff like that. And then here's another Polish border guard plane patrolling the Baltic Sea, as well as a Swedish reconnaissance plane patrolling the coast of Kaliningrad here. So the Baltic Sea is hot right now. Poland is hot right now. Lots going on. And then this was last night. Okay, we had this Italian AWACS plane patrolling the border of Lithuania and Belarus. Okay, here's another shot You could see this Italian AWACS plane here looping dozens and dozens of times along the border of Belarus here. And then there was also an American F-16 in the air. Okay, so something is brewing here, guys. Okay, and the Belarusian opposition is warning that Belarus could plan an attack on Poland in the coming days with Wagnerites, Oman forces, and Chechens. This is coming from a former spy that worked for Belarus. And the Polish military posted this picture here of British Eurofighter Typhoons training with Polish F-16s, so that could be why we saw all the aerial refuelers last night and the Eurofighter Typhoons. Apparently, this training exercise is called Astral Night 2024, and so this is going to be Polish F-16s training with British Eurofighter Typhoons. Now, this is very significant. Okay, why? Because Poland just recently applied to be part of NATO's nuclear strike mission. And basically, America would give Poland, let's say, 2 or 3 dozen B-61 nuclear gravity bombs, and they would train Polish F-16 pilots on how to deliver those bombs. And now we have these British Eurofighter Typhoons training with Polish F-16s. The Eurofighter Typhoons are cleared to deliver the B-61 nuclear gravity bombs, and Britain is cleared to deliver B-61 nuclear gravity bombs. So I don't know if this is like preliminary training of Polish F-16 pilots in this, or if they're training for some type of a contingency in Poland and the Baltics. If Russia, let's say, were to attack those countries, I don't know, guys, but this is very, very serious. Okay, here's another picture. So get prepared. Things are really spiraling out of control. We also have a very serious situation happening in the Republic of Georgia in the Caucasus Mountains. So today, the Parliament of Georgia passed a new foreign agents law, which would basically bar Georgia from becoming part of the EU or NATO. Now, the president of Georgia stated that she would veto this law. However, the parliament did approve it. I think it was like 80 plus votes in favor and like 30 votes against and 50 abstained. And then we had a brawl breakout in the Georgian parliament after this vote was cast. Check this out, guys. So, very serious situation in Georgia. Here we have some footage coming from the streets of Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia, right outside of the parliament building, where protesters have posted up and they're trying to break into the parliament. And you have this reporter here, and behind him are the Georgian secret services, and they snatched up one of the opposition leaders, one of the leaders of the protests, right here on camera. Check this out. They snatched up this guy right here. He's the leader of the opposition movement in Georgia. These are pro-Russian forces here. Okay, they're trying to bring Georgia back into the Russian sphere of influence, and that's why they were trying to pass this law. So we could see a revolution in Georgia as soon as tonight. There's protesters posted up right outside of the parliament in Georgia. Security forces have been deployed. I will be monitoring this situation, and if anything serious happens, I will go live. So they snatched him up and took him away, and apparently he was beaten, and there's pictures of him after he was beaten. I can't show that here, but they beat him up pretty bad. So absolutely insane. And then here we have some footage coming out of Georgia showing these protesters trying to break through barriers outside of the parliament. You can see they have gas masks because they're expecting tear gas to be used. Here's another video. So it's all starting right now. Here we have the Georgian police getting ready to quell the protests. And the British defense minister admitted that London gave Kyiv permission to carry out attacks on Crimea because it considers the peninsula to be part of Ukraine. And the situation is on the brink in Kharkiv, and the Russian Federation will soon launch an attack in the Sumy region of Ukraine, according to the head of Ukraine's military intelligence, Kyrylo Budanov, in an interview with the New York Times. He said that Russian attacks in the Kharkiv region will continue for another 3 to 4 days, after which their troops will make a decisive offensive in the direction of Sumy. He also said Ukraine used everything they had to protect Kharkiv so far and that there are no reserves left. Russian attacks in the Kharkiv region are aimed at depleting Ukraine's already weak reserves and sowing panic. He said the problem is Ukrainian forces are split between Kharkiv and Chasiv Yar. Okay, so contrary to what a lot of Western media is saying that, oh, this is just a limited incursion and that they're just trying to draw forces away from other parts of the front lines. No, this is not a limited incursion, guys, okay? Russia is going to try to go for Kharkiv. And even if they fail, it's okay because they're still going to be able to make breakthroughs in other parts of the front. They're massing forces near Sumy, and they're going to enter through Sumy. And Russian units occupied the village of Bugrovatka in the Kharkiv Oblast, the Russian Ministry of Defense reported. So Russia is continuing to make gains in the Kharkiv Oblast. They're probably on the verge of taking Vovchansk, which is that critical town just to the north of Kharkiv. There's street fighting going on right now over there. And apparently 30,000 Russian troops are advancing in the northern part of the Kharkiv region. And yesterday I reported that nearly 6,000 people have been evacuated from the outskirts of Kharkiv and that there's heavy fighting going on. And already evacuation orders were issued for some of the towns in Sumy region. So Russia is about to make a big push in Sumy, open up another front in Ukraine. And Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky on Tuesday pressed Kiev's Western backers to accelerate the supply of weapons and air defense systems amid a new Russian offensive in the country's northeast. We need a noticeable acceleration of supplies. Now too much time passes between the announcement of packages and the actual appearance of weapons on the front line, Zelensky said in an evening address after meeting U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. And Vladimir Putin will begin a 2-day state visit to China on Thursday at the invitation of President Xi Jinping, the AP news agency reported on Tuesday, citing the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Putin will be accompanied by his closest associates. The Kremlin confirmed this information, writing in a statement that this will be Putin's first foreign trip since he began his 5th term as president of Russia. As reported by Reuters, in addition to Putin, Andrei Belousov, the new Minister of Defense of Russia, and Sergei Lavrov, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Yuri Ushakov, the advisor to Putin, will take part in the informal meeting with President Xi. Russian news agencies report that Ushakov announced that during the meeting, the leaders will discuss the conflict in Ukraine and energy and economic cooperation. Minister Lavrov said that Russia and China play a key role in balancing world affairs, and President Vladimir Putin's visit to China this week will reinforce this trend. Okay, so we have Lavrov, we have Shoigu, we have Ushakov, we have Belousov, and then we have Putin meeting with Xi Jinping this week, guys. Do you remember right before Russia invaded Ukraine, Putin went to China like 2 days before? Okay, they invaded on February 24th, 2022, and Putin went to China on February 22nd, 2022, which comes out to 2/22/22, and that's a multiple of the devil's number 6, okay? 2/22/22 times 3, and what do you get? Okay? Egypt is considering downgrading diplomatic relations with Israel in connection with its operation in Rafah. Want to just show you guys an interesting flight path here over the Mediterranean. So this was last night. We had this U.S. Navy sub-hunting drone patrolling the central Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Libya, just south of Sicily. It was going back and forth here off the coast of Libya, which is very interesting. We have some concerning developments coming out of Venezuela. Apparently, Venezuela has massed forces along the border of Guyana, and this comes just days after American F-18s were spotted flying over the capital of Guyana. So the Venezuelan army beefed up its presence near the Essequibo region, a region controlled by Guyana that Venezuela claims as its own. According to the outlet Escenario Mundial, the Bolivarian armed forces built a makeshift bridge over the Cayuni River close to the border. So that's this bridge right here, and deployed armored vehicles there. The units include Scorpion 90 light tanks, V-100 armored vehicles used for transporting troops, 8x8 tactical trucks, as well as supply vehicles. They were taken across the Cayuni River and into the Ananoco Island, still in Venezuelan territory. Army General Domingo Hernandez Larez published a video of the operation on his Twitter account, showing troops and vehicles crossing the bridge and greeting people waving the Venezuelan flag. People and army are united to bring integral development, safety, and protection to the Essequibo people. Everything is possible together, reads the general's publication. The movement of forces comes a few days after a military drill conducted by 2 U.S. planes in Guyana exercises the Venezuelan government called a provocation. The Bolivarian Navy strongly rejects the reiterated provocations by the U.S. Southern Command and approved by the government of Guyana, which has become a new American colony, said Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez following the event. He added that the country's defense systems are activated against any attempt to breach the Venezuelan geographical space. So this is very, very concerning, guys. Okay, Venezuela moving forces to the border of Guyana, building this bridge here. Okay, so lots of things going on. And want to remind you guys also that apparently Hezbollah has been sent to Venezuela to help the Venezuelans build a massive tunnel network similar to what the Viet Cong did in Vietnam, because Hezbollah and Hamas are very good at building tunnels, as you guys probably know, in Gaza. So they sent them to Venezuela to advise the Venezuelan military on how to build these tunnels and to train the Venezuelan military in guerrilla war. So this is very, very serious, guys. So I'm going to be monitoring all these events, but I'm most concerned about what's going on in Poland right now and this X-class flare. Okay, we have to be on high alert. I'm going to monitor all these situations, and I will be updating you guys regularly. I will be back later on this evening with more breaking news. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. Also, check out my Telegram channel, t.me/NYPrepper1. I post all these updates to my Telegram. So if you follow me on Telegram, you'll never miss an update. And until later on this evening, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.